Hey guys, today we're reacting to a video from WiWiPedia. This is apparently why people don't want to go to Hooters anymore. I'm not reacting to this for any other reason than I find things like this interesting, so let's take a look.
Over 300,000 women have worn these orange shorts and tank tops since 1983 while serving chicken wings to dudes pretending they're coming for the...
Okay, can we just elaborate on something right now? The Hooters chicken wings are absolutely awesome, okay? Last time I went to Hooters was 2022 in Thailand with my friend Mike and Ruki, and the wings are great. Although they got the boned wings, I wanted the boneless wings, but hey, you know what? They're still pretty good. Look, let's not lie. You're also going to Hooters for the beautiful scantily clad women, the sports, and also the music, depending on which venue you go to, right? But the wings are pretty good, okay? The wings are almost good enough to go by themselves. They are very good. But, you know, I'm going for all the other things as well if I do go.
Sports atmosphere. These women worked as waitresses in a restaurant that literally started as an April Fool's joke between 6 Florida friends thinking it would be hilarious when their stupid idea failed. Plot twist, it didn't fail.
That's a good way to cover your ass, eh? Oh, we'll start our new business on April Fool's, and if it doesn't work out, I'll be like, oh yeah, it was just a joke. We're not as stupid as you think we are. I love that. Not that you should really care what people think anyway.
It made them millionaires. It's like texting your ex I miss you as an April Fool's joke and ending up married with a mortgage.
That's probably happened a few times.
These accidental geniuses invented an entire category of restaurants called breastrants, and I swear I'm not making this up. Your kids will learn about it in business school. They went from one joke restaurant to 420 locations worldwide.
That's a lot.
They defeated a $22 million lawsuit from the U.S. government
using
methods so ridiculous that Congress started laughing. They even started their own airline because why not fly when you're already selling chicken wings? Today they're filing for bankruptcy because of one little mistake, and it's probably not what you think. It's not because of cancel culture or whatever your uncle blames everything on, so buckle up.
Yeah, okay. So let's think back to Hooters in the 80s and 90s. Like, I can't speak from America's point of view, but we got Hooters in the 90s in Australia. So you used to have beautiful women, obviously, doing the hostess thing, wearing those, like, orange shorts and the singlets. I loved how that outfit kind of tiptoed on the line between sleazy, but never went over the line, if it made sense. It was pretty sexy without crossing any lines, I think, in my opinion. You know, not getting trashy. So, yeah, nice looking sexy ladies there. And then you had sports music, pretty good food. Obviously, it was probably a little bit more affordable, I guess, back at the time. If I was to guess what a big problem would be in 2025 with Hooters, apart from hardcore feminism, I'd probably only say maybe the economy. People don't have the money to go out and eat as much anymore. But look, hey, I guess we're going to find out. I don't know what it is.
Because this story is about to get more uncomfortable than your dad suggesting Hooters for your mom's birthday dinner. I wasn't exaggerating when I said this started as a joke. 6 friends in Clearwater, Florida with 0 restaurant experience filed incorporation papers on April Fool's Day, 1983.
Yeah, but you know what? These guys might have no restaurant experience, business experience, or marketing experience, or anything. But one thing that these dudes know is what men want. Men want good-looking women serving good food, sports, in a great environment, maybe with some like pub rock style music, right? So men know what men want, and then it's just about getting the right people together to make that dream turn into a reality, I suppose.
They literally chose April 1st because when it failed, they could say, "It was just a prank, bro." Their combined restaurant experience was eating at restaurants. That's it.
Know what men want.
And all they wanted, and I'm quoting them directly here, was a place they can't get kicked out of. That's the entire business plan. So they built their ultimate man cave. Cold beer, chicken wings, enough TVs to watch every sport simultaneously, and breasts. And no, not chicken breasts. I mean, you know, Hooters girls in orange shorts and tight white tank tops. In 1983, they found the perfect location for their terrible idea. A rundown former nightclub on Gulf to Bay Boulevard. This place was so cursed, it had killed more restaurants than Gordon Ramsay's review.
That looks like that's one of those kind of venues that has had like multiple homicides in it. That's a pretty freaky looking venue. But here's the thing, if your dreams aren't crazy, then they're not big enough, right? And so when Lady Opportunity, or whatever you call it, presents itself, you know, you might only have a certain amount of money, where the only opportunity you have is like this rundown building which might have had some kind of scary urban legend in it, so to speak. But if that's the opportunity you're given, I mean, sometimes you just have to jump on top of it, and if it works out, the rest is history, right?
But instead of running away like sensible humans, these madmen bought it on the cheap and built an actual graveyard with tombstones
good for you.
for all the dead restaurants that failed there before them. Meanwhile, co-founder Ed Drosty was conducting some very professional market research at a local bikini contest. He spotted 22-year-old Lynn Austin.
That's brilliant. Again, like I said, men like what men know what men want. And so if you're trying to look for potential hostesses, the sexiest of the sexiest, to start working in your restaurants, where are you going to go? You are probably going to go to bikini contests, wet t-shirt contests, and probably some other places that I probably shouldn't mention on this video, but you get the point.
This man walked up to a stranger at a bikini contest and said, "You're going to be world famous with Hooters," which, out of context, sounds like either a threat or a pickup line that should get you pepper sprayed. But Austin actually believed this random guy's pitch. She quit her stable phone company job to serve wings for $5 an hour. Remember this woman's name?
$5?
Because she's about to accidentally save this entire ridiculous operation.
Sure.
On October 4th, 1983, the first Hooters opened its doors in Clearwater.
Congratulations.
The first few weeks were about as successful as my dating life.
Dude, that just looks like one of those Aussie Queenslander houses, actually. Yeah, hey, look, you know what? I guess Hooters came a long way, but I'm not going to lie, that first ever Hooters restaurant there doesn't look very appealing or safe, like structurally or actually attending the venue, so to speak.
Which is to say, completely dead. But these 6 Florida men had a secret weapon. Absolutely zero shame and possibly a direct line to the luck gods.
Yeah, but the harder you work, the luckier you get, right? And you have to be willing to have egg on your face. So you have to work in order to generate opportunity, and you also have to have zero shame. Because when you're going out there and achieving your dreams, you're probably going to fail 10, 20, even 30 times before you have that light bulb moment that actually works out. And, you know, people are always going to be pointing the finger and laughing. And so I think to a point, most business people have to have a level of no shame, to a point.
Ed Drosty kicked off their marketing strategy by squeezing into a giant chicken costume and running through traffic. But Drosty wasn't done. When a boat sank near Clearwater, normal people called the Coast Guard. Drosty grabbed spray paint and swam out to tag Hooters on the wreck. He literally...
That's pretty clever. Because if that ends up making the news, even if it's just like a local news story, all of a sudden the Hooters branding is all over TV, and if they end up getting that boat up and running again, they're probably not going to paint over it, so boom, there's the Hooters advertising, so I think that's genius.
Literally turned a naval tragedy into free advertising. And remember Lynn Austin?
Sure.
She became Playboy's Miss July 1986. Suddenly, Hooters was in every teenage boy's hidden magazine stash across America. That's marketing.
Yeah, brilliant, right? So now you got the teenage boys raiding the top drawer in their dad's bedroom, getting a copy of freaking Playboy, and obviously the Hooters advertising, or if they're going out and can actually get it from the news store or whatever. And boom, yeah, you're basically ushering in the adults of tomorrow in advance. I mean, that's fantastic.
Money can't buy. Oh, and there's one marketing stunt coming that's so catastrophically stupid it ended in a lawsuit. But I'm saving that disaster for later, because we are still in the 80s now. By 1993, just 10 years after the April Fool's prank, they hit 100 restaurants and $200 million in sales. $200 million in revenue from selling essentially the same things every sports bar sells, with one...
Yeah, but I mean, you know what, this sports bars are a dime a dozen, there's so many out there. But the thing is, it's just about, I mean, there's not that many original ideas anymore. It's about taking an idea that's working and finding a way to do it better. I mean, that's just business. And so there's a lot of great sports bars out there, but if you're adding beautiful women in beautiful outfits to serve your food and they're friendly and they offer that extra experience, boom, you have a winner. I mean, it's not rocket science.
The uniform. Those orange shorts were generating millions per square inch of fabric. This explosive success spawned a legion of copycats with names that sound like a 13-year-old search history. You have Melons, Mugs and Jugs, and Knockers.
That wasn't uncommon in the 90s either. And I mean, I don't know about Hooters specifically because we got Hooters in Australia, I think, in the later 90s. And I won't digress too much, but look at the all-you-can-eat craze that happened in the early 90s, right? Places like Sizzlers and all that. I don't know about in America, but just so many copycats appeared in Australia, like Valentino's, Choices, all these other places. And they were just in and out because for some reason Sizzlers was doing, I suppose, what they weren't. And I would just assume it'd be the same with Hooters or any other business at the time. But that was quite common, especially in the 90s.
The term restaurant became an actual business category. By 1995, Hooters claimed they were to wings what McDonald's was to burgers. And these copycats were the "we have McDonald's at home" of restaurants. I can hear you whispering behind your screen now, saying, this is going suspiciously good. What could go wrong? And that's a very good question, my dear smart viewers. By the early 90s, Hooters discovered that building a business on orange shorts might attract some legal attention.
But I don't think the Hooters outfit crosses any lines. Is it scantily clad? Yes. But what I think, like I said, is brilliant about the Hooters costume is it tiptoes on the line of sleazy without going over it. So yeah, it's scantily clad, it's tight, it's sexy, but I don't think it's inappropriate. I think they hit the absolute sweet spot. And myself personally, but I'm sure the nasty feminists are going to have something about
Feminist
that.
groups looked at Hooters like I look at my credit card statement, with horror and disbelief. Lawsuits started dropping. The 1993 Minnesota case was particularly spicy. 3 ex-waitresses claimed the work environment was more hostile than a Twitter comment section.
It's tricky. You can't say anything in 2025 anymore. You have to be really, really careful how you behave now. Which I think you should do anyway. You shouldn't be harassing these poor girls or anything, right? In the 90s, I guess the line was a little bit higher, if that makes sense. Obviously you don't want to be grabbing these girls in the ass. You don't want to be harassing them, of course. You don't want to be saying vulgar things like, come back to my place, I'll show you a good time. That's highly inappropriate. If you're saying things like that, you should be kicked out or even get in extra trouble, right? But, if you just hey, beautiful, can we please take an order? I don't find that offensive. I mean, in my opinion, easy for me to say, I guess. But I guess in 2025, if you said something like that now, that's even going too far. So I'm just sort of spitballing here because maybe that's the reason why Hooters was having trouble in modern times, so to speak. The line became shorter and shorter and shorter. But it's weird, you're choosing to be a waitress where you're being a little bit sexy and all that. I would assume it would be expected if it's done harmlessly for a guy to be like, hey, beautiful, how's your day? But I don't know. I don't know where the line is anymore.
Getting my video demonetized, let's just say the workplace culture needed adjustments. Their attorney demanded Hooters change its name and cover up its servers. You're basically asking them to delete their entire business model. But wait, these lawsuits were just the tutorial level. The main course of legal disaster was about to be served by the actual U.S. government. The bigger war was with the U.S. EEOC. These are the people who make sure nobody discriminates at work. In 1991, someone at the EEOC was having a slow day and decided, wait a minute, where are all the male Hooters girls? Hooters had this crazy policy where men could be cooks, managers, bartenders, but not Hooters girls, which, given the name, seems obvious. Like it's literally called Hooters Girl, not Hooters Person, but the EEOC wasn't having it.
So, if you have a business that's your brand and your vision, shouldn't you be able to execute that vision within reason? I mean, I'm not a lawmaker or anything, but I would assume if you wanted to have a business with nothing but female waitresses, because you wanted to have sexy girls serving guys, as long as they're not being harassed, I think that would be okay. I mean, you have female strip clubs, male strip clubs, and all these other businesses which are gender specific. I don't understand what the big deal is. But again, I'm not a lawmaker, and everyone's going to have a different point of view on this. But just hearing that having female waitresses only in a restaurant like this being a problem, I mean, just on the surface, just seems very crazy to me.
After 4 years of investigation, 4 years of your tax dollars investigating orange shorts, they declared in 1995 that, and I quote, "no physical trait unique to women is required to serve food," which is true. They demanded Hooters pay $22 million to disappointed male applicants whose dreams of being Hooters girls were crushed by biology and corporate policy. $22 million is a lot of money, and it could break the peak of the business. Well, let me explain how they turned getting sued by the government into their best marketing campaign ever. Instead of quietly settling like a normal company, Hooters spent $1 million on what I can only describe as the greatest comeback in corporate history.
Okay.
They hired a burly, hairy dude named Vince and put him in the full Hooters girl uniform. Then came
fucking brilliant. I freaking love this. I freaking love this. Now, I don't know what the aftermath of this is, but you basically kind of got like the freak show like thing happening here, which is absolutely fantastic. So it's an attraction, and then you could have this guy to bring people in to be like, what's this all about? And then have a laugh, and then still enjoy the girls who are waitressing. But I'm just wondering what happened with this whole situation from a media standpoint, because I never saw it before myself. So, all right.
Operation Save Our Jobs, which sounds like a military operation, but was actually 100
Right.
Hooters girls invading Washington, D.C. These women were handing out free food to anyone with a pulse and a press badge. Public opinion did a complete 180. The EEOC went from righteous defenders of equality to the fun police trying to put hairy men in short shorts. By 1996, the EEOC basically said, you know what, never mind, and moonwalked out of the courtroom. They dropped everything. They entered the 2000s like a champion boxer who just won by punching the referee himself. By 2003, Hooters had more than 400 locations, and someone at corporate had apparently mixed Red Bull with spicy chicken wings because they announced, "We're starting an airline." Hooters Air was real, and it was spectacular. They put Hooters girls in orange shorts at 30,000 feet where it's colder than your ex's heart.
So what happened to it?
Perfect for cheating husbands. Atlanta to
Yeah,
Myrtle
well,
Beach.
the first thing I always thought about when I thought about Hooters originally was shows like Married with Children. You know how Al Bundy and his friends are completely unsatisfied at home, and so they end up going to the girly bars and stuff. That's usually the first thing I think about when I think of Hooters for some reason, because Married with Children was awesome, but...
Honey, it was the only available flight. Yeah, sure, Kevin. After burning $40 million in 3 years, Hooters Air crashed in 2006.
Oh, no.
Not the planes, thankfully, just the business. But plot twist,
okay.
While their airline was failing at altitude, their restaurants were printing money at sea level. By 2008, Hooters was pulling $500 million annually. One busy location could make $3 million a year selling 200,000 wings. They were literally unstoppable. Survived the government, failed at flying, but still swimming in cash. What could possibly go wrong?
Yes.
Oh, right. That marketing stunt I mentioned that became a lawsuit. It's time for the Toyota incident. And trust me, it's dumber than starting an airline. In 2001, a Florida Hooters manager wakes up and chooses violence. He announces a contest. Whoever sells the most beer in a month wins a brand new Toyota. These
Well, I could understand what would go wrong here, because ever since the mid-2000s in Australia, we've had pretty strict alcohol laws, to the point where we now have to do the responsible service of alcohol. And, if people look like they've had too much or they're intoxicated, you have to ask them to leave for your safety and theirs, if that makes sense. And so I could understand how trying to push beer after beer after beer could end up into like some surly behavior, some violent behavior, some inappropriate sexual behavior. But let's see what happened.
waitresses went feral. One waitress, Jody Berry, turned into the Michael Jordan of beer sales. She was moving product like Walter White, except legal and with better shorts. April Fool's Day comes, and Jody wins. The manager blindfolds her, which should have been red flag number 1.
Yeah.
They lead her to the parking lot. She's probably already picked her license plate, Beer Queen, or something equally tragic. Blindfold comes off. She's staring at a toy Yoda. No, not Toyota, toy Yoda.
Oh, no, man. You can't exploit your staff like that. That's terrible. That's terrible. Yeah. I really hope she took them to the cleaners for that, actually. Because you're making it sound like you're offering a free car. And even by this point, the economy was pretty tough. Having a new set of wheels could have been like absolutely life-changing for one of these staff members. So cleverly playing on words and taking advantage to get your staff to sell more beers. I don't like that. I just feel like that's really lowbrow, honestly.
Green piece of
That's
plastic
terrible.
that probably came free with a Happy Meal somewhere. Jody did what any reasonable American would do. She sued them.
I freaking
They
would.
settled out of court for an undisclosed amount, but reports say it was enough for her to buy any Toyota she wanted.
Sure.
By 2010, the restaurant started to see sales stagnate and locations close. They hadn't changed anything. In fact, they'd improved the service and food quality over the years. So what went wrong? Can you guess? Yes, you, the viewer who is watching me right now while probably eating something you shouldn't be. If you haven't figured out why, let your favorite YouTuber, WiWiPedia, explain. After 2010, the world was changing fast. The new generation, millennials, they're just different. Okay, WiWi, and what does that have to do with Hooters? Well, I'm trying to keep this family friendly, but there's no other way to say this. Let me tell you about a certain adult website that rhymes with corn tub. This totally legitimate research website released data showing that people ages 18 to 24 were searching for, let's say, chest content significantly less than older generations. They were more into things like authentic connections and emotional availability. Disgusting.
I mean, they're all good things, I guess. I mean, that's part of a healthy relationship, connection, emotional availability. But there's still nothing wrong with liking a hot set of tits and ass, right? But all right, I mean, hey, look, Generation Z wants what Generation Z wants, I guess.
I know. In response, Hooters tried marketing more heavily on fantasy football leagues and game day promotions, figuring cleavage wasn't the draw. Between 2012 and 2016, the number of Hooters restaurants in the US dropped by more than 7%, and same-store sales flatlined harder than my heart rate during cardio. Desperate times called for desperate measures. Hooters tried everything. They modernized the decor. They added salads to the menu. Salads at Hooters.
That's... It just completely goes against why they started Hooters in the begin with. Hey, good-looking girls, men, food, sports, and music. And, you know, in hindsight, thinking about it, I mean, adult websites and dating apps, I mean, to have all the instant access to that kind of thing for free, I guess now that I think about it, you wouldn't need to go out for a $50 to $100 dining experience anymore to get the same thing when you can just click it up on an app in your home, right? So I guess that's a thing.
It's like adding a library to a nightclub. In 2017, they launched Hoots. And no, I'm not making this up. Hoots was Hooters without the Hooters.
No.
Both men and women wore normal t-shirts and khaki shorts. But trust me, it gets even more desperate from here. In 2021, after years of trying to appeal to families and women, Hooters management had a meeting where someone said, you know what? Let's do the exact opposite of everything we just tried.
Look, you know what? The last time I went to Hooters, by the way, was around this time period, 2022. And I went in Thailand with my friend Mike and Ruki. We got the wings, we had dinner, and there was a lovely, beautiful girl there with the orange shorts, and the white singlet. And me being the simpy ass guy I was, you know, I shot my shot, asked her out. I said, hey, we're going to this club later on. Would you like to come? She said no, but thank you anyway. And dating's a numbers game, whatever. But I ended up getting another date, ended up rocking up this club, and I saw her there with this dude, and small world, and we ended up having a laugh, and that is that. But the last time I went, and maybe the standards are different internationally, but it still seemed like the same old Hooters. So I don't know if it was just the American stores at the time getting, I guess, progressive or what, but
they introduced new uniform shorts that violated several laws of physics. These weren't shorts. They were a philosophical question about the minimum amount of fabric required to technically be clothing. The Hooters girls immediately went to TikTok. The videos blew up so hard that within 72 hours, Hooters announced the new uniforms were optional. Meanwhile, while Hooters was having their fabric shortage crisis, Buffalo Wild Wings quietly stole their crown as America's wing champion.
Yeah, right.
How? by using this revolutionary business strategy called selling good wings. So here we are, 2025, and America's Gen X beloved Hooters is filing for bankruptcy.
Wow.
How did we get here? Surprisingly, the big reason is not what we mentioned before, although that played a role. The real villain? Private equity. Let me explain private equity like you're 5. Imagine your lemonade stand makes $10 a day.
Okay.
Private equity comes in, buys your stand with borrowed money, then makes you pay back that loan from your $10. Now, you're making $10 but owe $15. Congratulations, you're broke, but they're rich. That's private equity. In 2019, they blessed Hooters with $376 million in debt. Debt from literally just existing under new ownership. Then inflation showed up like an uninvited relative. Wings became more expensive than therapy. Beer prices jumped higher than a cat seeing a cucumber.
Yeah, have you seen how much beer costs and wings cost these days? Like, to get a pint where I live in Fortitude Valley, I'm in Brisbane, it costs something like $14.50 for a pint. And then wings, geez, I mean, I've got friends in the wing game, and you know, getting a gourmet 6-pack of wings probably costs around $10 to $15. I mean, occasionally you can find a pub with $1 or $2 wing night, but to be honest, they're not very good. And these are things that people used to just want to go out, buy cheap, and not think about. And yeah, these are guilty little pleasures that are not cheap anymore.
In early 2025, exactly after their 42nd anniversary, Hooters filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Happy 42nd anniversary, here's your bankruptcy papers.
Yeah, but Chapter 11 means you can restructure the company, right, and still have an opportunity to pay your debts. I can't remember, like, forgive me, I'm not an expert on business, but Chapter 7 basically means all over Red Rover, right? You go in administration or whatever, if I'm not mistaken. But number 11 basically means you can restructure. But I don't know what the rules are outside of that. Again, I'm no businessman, and if I'm wrong, please let me know in the description and chat and everything. But, I mean, there is still a chance if you hit number 11, right?
Now, Chapter 11 isn't we're dead bankruptcy.
Yeah.
It's give us a minute to figure this out
Yeah,
bankruptcy.
right.
Think of it like hitting pause on a video game when you're about to lose. Here's how it works. The judge basically becomes your financial therapist. The company keeps running, wings keep frying, orange shorts keep... shorting? But they get to pause their debt payments and sell stuff to raise cash. As of mid-2025, about 200 US restaurants and 60 international locations will remain open, so loyal customers can breathe easy. The orange shorts aren't going extinct.
Yeah, I don't know if it's still in Australia anymore. There was a one in Mermaid Beach on the Gold Coast that I grew up with. I think that's gone now. I think I looked. It's not there anymore. I don't know if they're in Australia anymore. I know that there's still a couple in Thailand. But outside of, I mean, I don't know how many countries they're in anymore. I don't think there's that many.
You know what? This whole Hooters disaster has inspired me. I'm opening my own restaurant. Introducing WiWings. Where the wings are mid, the service is questionable. Instead of orange shorts, our servers wear full winter parkas and ski masks.
No thanks. Anyway, WiWiPedia, thank you very much for the video today. Yeah, that was a little bit of a history lesson on Hooters. It's a place that I've been to before. I like the atmosphere. The girls are nice looking. The wings were pretty good despite what people say. But, yeah, I mean, I guess you got to keep evolving with the times and business, huh? But tell me what you think in the chat, guys. Thank you for watching another video. And we'll see you on the next one. Take care, everybody.